Hurricane Helene devastated western North Carolina, and there are many who are still trying to recover from it. And since the hurricane, I've had a couple opportunities to visit some of the areas that have been affected. And on one trip where we were traveling down the mountain into Tennessee, we saw an area in which it looked like the floodwater just came rushing down this mountain, washing away miles of buildings, trees, and so many other things. It looked like this area was mostly industrial for businesses, so hopefully everyone was able to evacuate safely. Even though there's a number of areas that look similar to this, thankfully most areas do not, and thankfully places like Asheville are mostly back up and running. Recently, I met a lady named Selena. We met virtually through a video chat, and Selena actually has a business in Asheville called Celtic Sea Salt. And I'd actually had heard about this business before, but I had no idea that they were in Asheville. I'm a big fan of real salt. My family and I actually traveled across the country to Utah to see Redmond and their salt mines.
So right now we're about 800 feet deep. So that blast from where I'm standing to that face was one blast. With the food grade, so probably what they did, they came in and ground this out to test it, because any of our food grade, we don't have any cross-contamination. So if this tested out as a good food grade spot, what they do is come grind all this off, clear everything out of here, and then they'd come back in and just grind some more. No blasting, no explosives. They have a separate truck to haul the food grade salt out.
I never knew that we had a sea salt company right here in North Carolina. And I got to thinking, how in the world do they operate? Where do they harvest their salt out here? I've never seen that before. So we asked Selena if we could visit, and she invited us to come visit their place in Asheville. And for those of you who don't know, most of the salt that you see in grocery stores, on restaurant tables, well, a lot of that is refined salt. Salt that has been highly processed with the minerals stripped away and removed, and also caking agents and other things like that added. But that's not the case with Redmond real salt, and that's also not the case with true sea salt. These salts are unrefined, they have their trace minerals and electrolytes, and are much better for you. And knowing this made me want to visit her place even more. So we traveled back out to western North Carolina and arrived at the Celtic Sea Salt Company. And we first started a tour with Selena in her office.
Hey everybody, I'm Selena, the owner of Celtic Sea Salt Company, and I am really excited here to show you a little bit of a tour of our space and where the magic happens here with the salt. This is my office, and you can see my family here on the wall, my children and my grandchildren here on the wall. Over here is the other magic. These are all the amazing influential people that have promoted the Celtic Sea Salt over the years, and this is just some of them. We have a lot more than this, but you can see this is how the magic happened. We're really proud to say that the Celtic Sea Salt brand has done very little advertising, and we've just built relationships, and that's how we have built this brand, is through the relationships.
And it's really neat to see that a lot of the people that I admire and look up to in the health and wellness space, like Barbara O'Neill, Dr. Axe, Jordan Rubin, and a number of others, support Celtic Sea Salt.
And this is some of the magic in here. And so you can kind of see some of the people that we know. Kennedy here, Jordan Rubin, Jim Cockman, Wayne Dyer, Donna Gates. These are some really awesome people.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is neat.
Yep.
Wow, those pictures are neat. Those also reminded me that I once had the opportunity to meet Robert Kennedy as well. But anyways, back to Selena. After leaving her office, we went down the hall visiting a number of her team members.
So, as we walk through, we're going to just kind of say hey to everybody. This is my financial department. Hey everybody! And this is my sales department, Julie, over here.
Hello.
Here's Mary Ann. These are the masters that answer the phone and answer all these amazing questions you guys have about the Celtic sea salt. They do such a great job. My quality manager, Erin, she's busy.
Then we came to the part of the tour where Selena revealed where they harvest their sea salt.
So we built this building in 2004, thinking that we would never outgrow it, but obviously we have outgrown this building. And in here is our conference room. These are just some of the books that people have written about Celtic sea salt as an ingredient or even educating people. And then these are where the salts come from. This is like our little tour of the world. We have our salt coming from, the original one was from Brittany, France. And then we've expanded and diversified all of our salt sourcing. And we've gone to Hawaii, which is from Kona and from Molokai, Guatemala, Colima, Mexico, Spain, and Portugal. That's all of our sources right there. They all hold this, just its own little profile. The main thing with our salts is we want to make sure that they have a magnesium, potassium, calcium, sodium, and chloride, and a good pH, because that our body is made of those cations. So that's what we try to mimic when we're sourcing all of our salts, is that they have those same mineral profiles.
So you source your salt from a number of places around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good security as well, because say something happens to one of those locations, you still have other options for where you can get your
Amen.
salt. Wow.
And that's why we did it. Because it was like I got a message from God saying you can't depend on that one source, and even though it's a really amazing source. So what's really awesome is I didn't really go out and seek these sources, they found me.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that pretty special?
That is a blessing.
That is really awesome. So every
Wow.
one of these sources came to me saying that they heard about Celtic sea salt and they would love to be part of our contribution. And so then I went to go visit all these sources to make sure that you know, where it was harvested, the quality was good, to make sure that there was not going to be any potential contamination. Like in Portugal, there could possibly be a sewage overflow, so you have to make sure that you're getting the salt from a certain place there, that it's not near the sewage overflow. In Colima, when I first went to Colima, there was a certain smell, so they had to make some modifications in their salt harvesting also. So I go to visit, the first thing I do is I get a sample of the salt, I send it to the lab, and if it is the composition that we're looking for, then I go visit the location, and I make sure that the location, the people are treated well, there's no potential contamination in the surrounding area, and really just to see if we can make it more efficient.
Man, I like that. That's neat how the relationship is mutually beneficial for everybody.
A salt source we used to have in Haiti, we had to let that source go because the government just did not want them to be successful. But they were harvesting their salt, put it in a big pile, and then the rain would come and it would go back in. So there were these little things that we would come in and just kind of modify in their salt, harvesting, just to help them make it better. But that's really what we're about, and we're very excited. There's also something that people can trust about the Celtic Sea Salt brand is this. Yes, another location, something could happen. Anything could happen. But also, just like a wine, you can get a certain grape from a certain region. It holds a certain profile. That's what our salts hold, is that. And right now, there's been a lot of talk about the lead in the sea salt industry, and especially Celtic sea salt. And we have to understand that lead is a natural occurring element. It's in carrots and celery, but it's really, if the salt is touching the soil, that's where they're going, or clay, that's where they're going to see the lead. But you can see that we have a salt from Guatemala that there's hardly any lead in it. Is the lead that's in the salt from France bad? It's naturally occurring, but you can see we've diversified. Pick one of the other ones. We have all these other salts, and that's why we've done what we have done, and now we're working on another kind of ratio that we might just mix them and make the amazing salt with all these amazing blends, because it is kind of hard to say which one do I want in my kitchen, because they're so similar in flavor and usage. So maybe we'll just do a world blend.
I think it's pretty neat that your job is to travel and see these places. How often do you get to do that? Because these are some pretty amazing places.
It's pretty exciting. That is the excitement of my job. For a while, I would have to go quite frequently, but with COVID hit, we haven't been traveling as much as we were.
Okay.
But the beauty of all these salt sources is God's brought them to me, and then I built really strong relationships with each one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. I think the most exciting one was this one right here, because all of our salts come with a kind of similar harvesting method. But when I went to go visit these people, they said, you got to try this amazing mountain salt. And I said, oh, we don't really do mined salts. They said, no, this is amazing because when it rains, this mountain actually grows, and these salt sickles, see all those salt sickles? They kind of come down, so it's still sustainable.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome? And it's off the charts in potassium. This is the highest amount of potassium that naturally occurs in a salt. And this packaging is pretty awesome too, because you can just bury this and it will just dissolve.
That's great.
Isn't that awesome? We're trying to go green.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And this used to be the largest source of potassium in the world. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
The
That
first
place
thing
looks
they used it
beautiful.
for was the potash for explosives.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, and then this one right here comes from an underground river, which is pretty awesome. So 2,000 years ago, the Mediterranean Sea went over this region in Spain, and then it receded back into the sea. But there was a pocket of the seawater that was trapped under the ground, and it's like an underground sea river, believe it or not.
Wow.
And there's so much pressure that there is no mechanism that's opening this pipe here. They just open up the thing, and the pressure from the earth pushes that water through. Then they fill each little salt pond with that water. They let it evaporate from 7 to 14 days to make the crystallization. And it's amazing. If they did not release this water, the rice paddies in this region could not grow rice, because they have to support it because there's too much salinity in the soil.
Wow.
So this is like a really fantastic little find also.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
After learning about all the different places around the world that they receive their salt from, next Selena took us to their warehouse here in Asheville, where they receive the salt from these different locations.
So this is where the magic happens.
Ooh, wow.
Yes. This is where all the salt comes in. You can see it comes in these big 55-pound bags. Whether I'm here or I'm not here, I bless every crystal that comes in. I just hold it in my thoughts, and I just ask God to just bless every crystal. And every customer that is eating the salt, touching the salt, I bless them too. So it just keeps going. And just think about it. It's a crystal.
Yeah, that's
It holds that energy.
I love that extra love and thought.
Yeah. And these are all finished products getting ready to go out the door. You can see we've outgrown. We must have just got a new shipment in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So all this salt is from some of those different places from
Yes.
around the world that
Yep.
you just showed me. That is great.
Yep, it sure is. And then this is where they package. We've been packaging the salt by hand for the whole 40 years we've been in business.
Okay.
I tried to do automation, but it didn't work out. But this is, you can kind of see here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a close-up of people doing something?
You gotta let's put your gear
Okay.
on. You sure can.
Ooh, I get the gear up. I just had to get a closer look, right? Yeah. That's what I gotta do. So as Selena instructed, put the hairnet on. And I actually haven't worn a hairnet in years, probably like 15 years. And the last time that was when Selah was born. And I had to put a hairnet on in the hospital. And I look goofy because I didn't put it on all the way. So hopefully here with Selena, I don't look as goofy here as I did back then with the hairnet on.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Put some gloves on too.
Nope, you don't have to put any gloves on.
Okay. Excuse me.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Selena.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right.
So you can see all the salt is done by hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I get this often. People just start speaking Spanish to me.
Es a ustedes que le andan tomando pictures.
And even after having years of Spanish in school, sadly, I don't remember much of it at all. Like, very, very little. Muy poco. So I'm like, oh no, I feel bad, not sure how to respond to her. Even though I also have probably Hispanic heritage in me, I just don't speak Spanish. I need to work on that. So thankfully she started speaking English to me so I could understand what she was saying.
If it was me, I was ready to do my math in its mouth.
Smile, you're on TV.
Scoop, grab the bag.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the next one? Nacho.
You weigh it after that.
You want 1 pound or one okay?
From there.
That gets palletized and the pallet goes to the customer.
All right.
Yep. And then they do small jobs in here.
Okay.
Yeah, so same thing, but here are small jobs. This used to be our seasoning room when we used to make our seasonings, but we got too busy and we had to put the seasonings on pause to keep up with the demand.
Okay.
Yep.
How's it going?
Going good, how are you?
All right. Good to hear.
All right. That back on. So their sea salt is harvested from all over the world, then shipped here to Asheville, and then in Asheville they package it, and then it goes to shipping, where Selena took us to next.
So this is where all the packages go out, and we service the direct to the consumer, and most of the package in here is direct to the consumer or a wholesale order that goes out. You can see the boxes getting ready to go out. And you can come over here and see a little bit of our items that we have. We have a soap that is a local guy's making this, and he's using our salt, and we call it Celtic sea soap. And they smell so good. And then we have, we used to have over 42 items in our catalog, but that's before Amazon. And then Amazon comes and we go, okay, we're not doing all these items anymore. We don't have to. But we still have some stragglers like colloidal silver, Donna Gates products from Body Ecology. This guy, he's local, Mandala. I don't know if you know Rob, but he has Mandala Springs and he makes our amazing chocolates. Ooh. Oh yeah. You guys have some in your goodie bags.
So you're partnering and helping out these other companies and working together.
That's really, this is really a mission of love. It's not like it's a money making thing for us. As a matter of fact, the company is constantly asking me, why are we doing this? It's a waste of time and energy. We're not making any money. And I said, because we have the opportunity to give somebody a lift up.
That's fantastic.
And that's how we made it, so why not?
That's great. And during my time here, I can see that Selena and the Celtic Sea Salt Company really do try to go above and beyond fostering relationships with everyone that they work with, and I admire that. And I also really like, she showed me that they have a full kitchen for the staff to use right there in the business so they can make real meals if they so want to. And that's pretty neat.
You know, it's funny, when you have a company and you have employees, what I recognize is should an employer do for their employees, and it's for the children and the meals, because to me it was really hard at the end of the day to do homework with my kids. It was so stressful. So I wanted to bring the kids here to do their homework, and then I wanted to have a kitchen so that we could prepare the meals so that employees could take the meals home. I have not made that happen, but maybe one day I will make that dream happen, because I think we need to do that more with our employers.
That's fantastic.
Support the families.
I really like this because I've worked for companies before where they just basically had a microwave where you had to go out and eat. You can actually make something here. There's a stove and ovens here and a full refrigerator. That's fantastic. And on that trip, Selah, my daughter here, was my secondary camera person. Thank you for getting those shots with me. All right, and we also have a goodie bag here. What do we have in here, Selah?
All right, we have some sea salt electrolytes.
That one's a good electrolyte shot. Really good from you. All these things are from Celtic Sea Salt.
We have some potassium salt.
Okay.
Some,
Other varieties of salt there.
yep, some other varieties.
Okay.
And we have some pepper.
Ooh, I like pepper. Salt's important, but I also like to have peppers, especially on things like mashed potatoes and things like that. That's me.
Okay. We also have some of these little shakers. Mom and I like to put them in our pocketbooks and take them places.
Yep, I definitely appreciate you all bringing that, so that way whenever we're out, we can still make sure we get our real salt in. And the last thing in here is Selena's book. Tells her story about how she got involved with Celtic Sea Salt to begin with. And while I was there with her, she did tell a little bit of that story with me. Thank you so much for the tour, Selena. I do want to know, how did you get started with this company and doing the things that you're doing here? It's pretty amazing.
Oh, thank you for letting me tell you about that. It's this book right here, Jacques de Langray, my father-in-law. He started changing the whole reputation of sea salt.
Wow.
In 1976 is when he started it. And he wrote his book, and without the internet and everything, it went crazy. But it went crazy in a different way, with newsletters. This is before the internet. Today, everybody's getting educated on health and nutrition through their podcasts and through their blogs. Back then, it was newsletters. And that's how this whole revolution started.
Wow.
So Dr. Batman Gulish and Dr. Christian Northrup, Dr. Bruce West, Dr. Whitaker, these are like pioneers that started this revolution of you are what you eat.
Wow.
And they got a hold of the book, and they started to talk about it to their patients and their customers, and then it went crazy. So here they were. They were macrobiotic consultants. Jacques and Yvette were the founders of the company, and they would have macrobiotic potlucks at their house, and people would want the salt, and they go, I really want a pound of that salt. How much is it? And they said, how much money do you have in your pocket? And he says, I got a $5 bill. And that's where we started the price.
Wow.
Yeah. And we just did a price increase 3 years ago. So we've had it at $5 a pound for all these years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's basically how it got started. Jacques wrote the book on salt. He was introduced to salt by a Dr. Rene Canton. And Dr. Rene Canton is a doctor that started understanding that our body fluid is almost identical to the ocean, which is crazy with all the different elements. So he told Jacques, you need to teach the world about what kind of salt we should eat, and also the amazing properties of the ocean elements. It's amazing. So that's what Jacques did with his book. After that, and in his book, you have to understand, this was a lot of years ago, so there's a lot of things that he wrote in here that I didn't feel comfortable republishing the book, because whether he actually had proof of the statements he made, I did not feel confident enough to stand behind the statements. So I decided to write my own book. But in the meantime, there's a Dr. David Brownstein. He wrote a book, and he called me and he said, Selena, I want to write a book on your salt. And I says, awesome. And he goes, you want to write it with me? And I says, I'm a little busy, but I'll send you my box of information. So I sent him a whole box of information I've been collecting. And he wrote a book on it, and that's what
fantastic.
Dr. Brownstein did. Pretty awesome, huh?
And I even have that book on my shelf.
Oh, you do? Isn't that awesome? He's an amazing doctor. And so here we are sitting in our meetings and, and marketing everything. And everybody says, it would be nice if we could get that book out there again, or get a book out there. And so I said, okay, well, let's try it. So I said, I'll write a book. So the first part of my book is all Jacques' information and content about sea salt and the powers of sea salt.
Okay.
And then the book goes into how I have sourced and diversified all of our sources of salt, and how I found them, and kind of really awesome stories of getting lost in Portugal when I was doing these things. So just the journey of finding these salts not knowing what the hell I was doing, but just diving in and doing it. You know what I mean? and then I kind of got a message. Don't just make it be about the company. So I let the book kind of evolve also to tell my story about having a special needs child for 28 years. Dominique was born with cerebral palsy. And so we got the whole excitement journey of raising him and learning so much from a little guy that never spoke a word, but he was my best teacher. And so that's how the book was created, and that's what we're doing now with the book. Now today, what are we doing? We are continually looking for ways to diversify our sources. And what we need to do is really tell people how important it is to try all of our other salts, because they are pretty amazing. Like the salt from Guatemala is completely off the charts amazing. And I love that these interviews are giving me the opportunity to tell people, try the new salts, try all these amazing salts, because they are just as amazing as the one from France, the original one. But let's not put a burden on one source, right? You know, let's diversify so we can all have it. So I really recommend you guys, and these two salts, you could possibly have both of them, because this one makes a really great electrolyte. You can put it in with lemon, so you have your own little Gatorade because it has so much potassium. And then this one is just for everything, cooking, you know, everything that you do, and put in your water.
And one of the things that I like about it, that your company, yes, you're getting salt from these different areas, but you're also blessing these areas with providing them with business and
that feels good. That feels really good that we're giving these salt farmers in these regions the opportunity to you know, grow and prosper also. And it's funny when we go to the regions to visit, it's almost, they just roll out the red carpet. They go, yay, the Celtic sea salt people are here, you know. Cool. So it's been pretty exciting. And my mission now is to let everybody know that we have sources from all over, and you should try them all.
That's cool. You know, another thing that I think is really neat is you're not a direct descendant. You didn't start the business yourself.
No.
But your name, it means...
It's Selena, it means salt. And you know, my maiden name is Guerra, Guerra, and the region where the salt first came from was a little region called Guerin, which is almost spelled the same.
Oh, wow.
So I think it was destined for me to be blessed to be in this position.
That's great.
Definitely, I'm very blessed.
That's awesome. That was a fun tour, and if you want any Celtic sea salt products, check out the link in the show notes below. I also encourage you to join Selena and I. We have partnered up with Barbara O'Neill, Billy Bond, and a number of awesome people for an upcoming 5-day event here in North Carolina. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be encouraging people on the ways to true health, and we invite you to come join us.